with the purchase of a ProPure Big Water Filtration System or call 1-888-253-3139.
Hi, I'm Dr. Edward Group. It took me 20 years of searching the globe to find the deposit of the highest purity iodine available. The new Survival Shield X2 is mined from 7,000 to 10,000 feet below the earth in pristine, environmentally clean conditions. The iodine crystals we use are extracted from an ancient 300 million plus year old deposit deep in the earth. It's the strongest nascent iodine on the market today. It delivers 650 micrograms per drop. Experience the new formula. Experience the ancient purity. Shield your family. Survival Shield X2. Available now at InfoWarsLife.com.
X2 from InfoWarsLife.com or call toll free 888-253-3139. Alex Jones here for Infowars.com. In the month of July, we have got giant specials on everything at Made-in-1776.com. The already discounted Made-in-1776 t-shirts are only $17.76. We have the new belt buckles that in only 2 weeks of sale are very close to selling out. There's only 500 of each. We're talking about Made in America belt buckles in nickeled brass. This is more than a summer blowout special. This is a new declaration of independence. But to expand the InfoWar, we're offering the equivalent of more than 5 months free right now when you get a membership at PrisonPlanet.tv for a limited time, only $39.95 a year. That's more than 5 months free off the regular price. Not just this July 4th weekend, but the entire month of July at Made-in-1776.com. Molon Labe, you can take my gun from my cold, dead hands.
Coast to coast, direct from Austin. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
Crashing through the lies and disinformation. It's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
I'm going to go to Steve, Margaret, David, Brian, and many others in this segment. And I'll get more into the border and pull back from Ukraine coming up. But first off, I want to explain something. About 100,000 Americans, this is in congressional hearings with Frank Church, Senator Church, Anthony Sutton, the late great, how Wall Street financed the Soviets, the USSR and Hitler. He wrote that book, Off Government Documents. He was the head archivist for Congress at that time and ran some of the hearings. And this freaked Congress out so bad in the 70s that they almost abolished the CIA and found out about the 36,000, 35,000 Nazis that had been brought in under paperclip. I mean, it's just a disaster, folks. It's a disaster how bad this is. But in 1917, the British intelligence working with the U.S. government shipped in 100,000 Russian Americans that spoke Russian. You know them as neocons today because they came back to the U.S. when Stalin, decades later, kicked them back out, kicked Trotsky back out. They came here and took over the Republican Party. You know them as neocons. By the way, that's the Wall Street Journal. You didn't know the neocons were actually Russian communists, but it's too much, the average person. Reality is just too insane. Our government, shadow government, was so evil even then that it funded the takedown of the czars who were pro-West and pro-U.S., and it put the communist in. And Alexander Solzhenitsyn exposed this. I mean, everybody knew this in the Liberty Movement, that the big tax-free foundations were funding communism, that trucks by the hundreds of thousands over the decade of the Vietnam War were shipped from Ford and GM factories in Russia to Vietnam, missile launchers, you name it. I mean, the U.S. the whole time was in Russia helping them build all this. That's on record. Because, again, they couldn't set up this evil base here in the U.S. in front of Americans and fund evil and a thing called communism and human enslavement. So our own criminal elite that had hijacked our government overthrew Russia that was a monarchy and was corrupt, put in something 10 times worse, kicked out the White Russians, as they were known, pro-imperials, and then used Russia to export evil worldwide under the name of communism. That again, as Solzhenitsyn said, shouldn't even be called communism. It doesn't even exist. It's just evil. You shouldn't be anti-communist. That implies communism is elemental and part of something. No, it should be called anti-human. It should be called anti-human exterminism, anti-criminal, anti-terrorist, anti-scum, anti-gang, anti-filth. The elite, the globalist elite, the British Empire, not the British people, the British Empire model of control, behind-the-scenes control. Carol Quigley wrote an 1,100-page book, head of Georgetown Political Science, on this, called Tragedy and Hope. We sell the book back in print at InfoWarsStore.com. Read it. How they funded Hitler, how they funded Lenin, and I mean, oh, man, folks, it's so evil. So the Russians actually got obsessed in the last 25 years with Alexander Solzhenitsyn. They got sold on his book. So then they said with the CIA and others that tried to prop him up. That's why there was the rumor that the fall of the Soviet Union was staged. Because it was staged. Their people wouldn't go along with it anymore. They wanted freedom. And so they made a deal with Gorbachev to end it and to put Yeltsin in, but that failed. And Vladimir Putin, a secret acolyte of Alexander Solzhenitsyn, got control. Does he have his own big bank accounts? Does he run around and do all this stuff? Sure. Do I trust him? No. The point is, he's paying people to have kids. On national TV, they exposed that 9/11 was an inside job, that cancer viruses are being put in vaccines. Russian television now, folks, is like this show. You understand that? Not because it's their plan. Alexander Solzhenitsyn influenced them with Thomas Jefferson power. I influence them, and others do, and they've influenced themselves wanting to be free. Does that mean they're perfect? No. But when you've gone through 80 years of hellish evil, when you've been through communism, when you know what evil is, when you know what bureaucracy is, when you know what standing in line to get your food is, Cloward and Piven, then freedom becomes so sexy and you rebel against the evil. Just like the East Germans rebelled and stood down and didn't want to be evil anymore under communism. Freedom is popular. Freedom is sexy. We have snow cones in hell. We're selling a coat to a man in Siberia, folks. He wants the coat. Freedom is good. We have to be ready to win and not just believe, you know, that, oh, there's no good, Alex is really this, or, you know, the blah, blah, blah. Or we got to have war with Russia. They're our enemy. We'll get ahead by defeating Russia. No, we won't. The globalists are playing us off against each other. And the Russians and the Chinese and others who have their own serious problems. And China's in bed with the globalists. They're ultra maximum evil. Not the Chinese people, but, I mean, the Chinese government is double dealing, absolutely one-child policies, forced abortion, New World Order model. They adopted it. The CIA put Mao Zedong in 49. That was declassified 10 years ago. It's even on History Channel. I mean, I heard that from the John Birch Society when I was 6 years old. They know. They killed the CIA operative who wouldn't go along with it, John Birch. He tried to lead a group against it, and they killed him and a bunch of other operatives. There were rebellions then against doing this. Mao killed 84 million people. See, our government put Mao in. Our government put Pol Pot in. It's criminals in our government. It's chaos. It's Hydra. It's Spectre. Why in all these movies is it an octopus symbol that's manipulating all the sides? Because they're telling you. Because anyone that knows how this really works understands the octopus is the big private banks that control the issuance of currency and credit. It's the Hydra of Greek mythology, the multi-headed beast or the multi-legged beast, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And it only wins by being in the dark and not being exposed. And it feeds on human suffering and no-bid weapons contracts. Well, why do they want to fund al-Qaeda to take over Afghanistan so we can invade? To get trillions in opium and trillions in no-bid weapons contracts? Why? Hail Hydra. I mean, you go see the new Captain America, folks. That's basically what you're dealing with right there. I mean, this is the real deal, people, okay? And the globalists have underground bases. They have all the mitigation plans. They're ready to have a war with Russia. The RAND Corporation 3 years ago came out, wrote a story about it on Infowars.com, and said to bring in the world government, there needs to be something bigger than a regional war, a new world war. Maybe they've got backroom deals with the Russians and the Chinese and it's staged. I don't know. But this stuff can get out of hand, ladies and gentlemen. You can look up different transcripts and letters from British kings to Norman kings in France, going back 600, 700 years ago, where they say, I'm having uprisings, cousin. We need to have a war. And staging a war against each other to kill off their own population. This has been going on forever. And we better transcend it or we don't have any future. We're going to start the next hour, go to your phone calls. But they force the world into trying to leave the dollar as the private Federal Reserve devalues the dollar, and it hits outside countries first. Then when Russia and others try to move away from the dollar, as they're under sanctions, they go, because they want the dollar to die slowly, not have a competing economic system, and then bring in the SDR, IMF, World Bank model. Joseph Stiglitz exposed that when the documents came out in 2002. So they want to kill the old unipolar financial system and bring in a new unipolar, or one. So let's continue here. This is what it's really all about, is the BRICS Summit happening right now in Brazil, the 6th BRICS Summit. In Brazil, here's the headline, AFP, BRICS shakeup, global economic architecture. A system outside of the IMF and World Bank. The Federal Reserve is the U.S. name of the European arm. Here's another one. OECD, that's the Organization of Economic Cooperative Development. That was the Marshall Plan emergency system they now want for the new European war. Fears middle-class civil unrest is coming. Zero Hedge preparing to suppress the population. See, they're not just going to hit Russia. They're not just going to destabilize the Middle East and put Al-Qaeda and ISIS in charge. They're going to implode our borders, flood our borders, and use that crisis to bring in civil emergency. You know it as martial law as well. Hydra, Spectre, the New World Order, the private megabanks, the 6 megabanks are moving against humanity. They've taken over our government. They're like the Vichy French. Second hour coming up. Stay with us.
Man, when I get home from work, all Betty does is watch her reality TV and then she goes to sleep. I could take her on romantic dates, I get her flowers, you name it. She's just not the woman I married.
Oh, Ralph, that's just awful.
Does this seem familiar? Are the honeymoon days of your relationship long gone? If so, consider this: the abundance of chemical additives, pesticides, BPA containers, contaminated tap water, and other toxic substances found in our environment. Experts know our bodies are suffering and being thrown off balance, especially when it comes to your natural systems. Forget synthetic chemicals. Super Female Vitality brings forward key herbs specifically chosen for women's biology without the use of phony additives. Get your bottle of Super Female Vitality today at InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or call 1-888-253-3139. InfoWarsLife.com. Live life healthy.
From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.